From the very beginning, you were sold a fantasy. Not the kind in movies, but one more dangerous, more subtle. You were taught that your value as a man depended on her eyes lighting up when you entered the room. That your worth hinged on her attention, her approval, her affection. And you believed it, because no one ever told you otherwise. You didn't learn to stand on your own first. You learned to stand for her, so you chased it. You chased her smile, her body, her validation, thinking that once she chose you, everything would feel right. But all that chasing did was pull you further from yourself. You adjusted your tone to sound nicer. You muted your instincts so you wouldn't upset her. You made yourself digestible, manageable, tame. And in doing so, you lost the very thing that made you a man: your rawness, your conviction, your truth. You stopped trusting your own inner compass because you were too busy looking for her signals. That's the lie no one talks about. That love means sacrificing your masculinity. That being a good man means being soft, sweet, and endlessly available. But here's the reality: any man who bases his self-worth on a woman's reaction will live a life of quiet desperation, because she can sense it. She knows when you need her gaze to feel alive. And the moment she senses that weakness, she will test you. Not out of malice, but instinct. Because no woman can follow a man who's looking for direction in her eyes. You have to reclaim your mind, your space, your voice. And that starts by walking away, not because you hate women, but because you finally understand that you've been searching for completion in the wrong place. You are not half, you were just taught to feel that way. Most men never get the chance to hear their own mind, not because they're incapable, but because the noise around them never stops. Constant notifications, constant messaging, emotional updates, endless conversations with women that go nowhere but still demand energy. You think you're connecting, but what's really happening is you're losing clarity. You're becoming reactive, emotional, soft. You start second-guessing your tone, your opinions, your presence. You start filtering your masculinity, shrinking your truth to keep her attention. But attention that demands your silence isn't control. Being around women constantly doesn't sharpen your edge. It dulls it. You start playing a role, the agreeable one, the charming one, the safe one. And the more you perform, the more distant you become from who you actually are. That's why silence is essential. That's why separation is powerful. Because only in solitude does a man begin to remember his own voice. Only without her influence can he hear his own instincts again. It's not about hate, it's about healing. It's about clarity. Most men fear the silence because they've never faced it. They're scared of what they'll find when there's no female energy to distract them. But that fear is the gateway. Sit in it long enough, and your thoughts stop spinning. Your focus sharpens, your direction returns. You lift harder, you move with intention. Your eyes stop searching for approval, and slowly, you start to remember who you were before the need. Before the chase. Before your masculinity was wrapped in performance, that unfiltered energy, that raw presence. That's what real women are drawn to. Not the polished nice guy, not the always available simp, but the man who doesn't chase affection because he's already full. That man only rises in silence, and that silence begins when you step away. Energy is your most valuable currency as a man, and most men spend it recklessly scrolling through texts, chasing responses, trying to interpret a woman's mood swings like it's a full-time job. But you weren't designed for that. You were built for direction, for structure, for purpose. And every ounce of emotional labor you give away to feminine chaos is energy stolen from your mission. You can't build a legacy while you're mentally caught up in guessing games, decoding emojis, or replaying conversations in your head. It's a trap. One moment she's warm, the next she's testing you. You spend your day not building, not growing, but reacting, adjusting your behavior to avoid another emotional storm. And while you think you're being a good man, what you're really doing is abandoning yourself. High-value men understand this. That's why every man who's done something significant has passed through a season of isolation. He didn't ignore women because he couldn't get them. He ignored them because they would have cost him everything he was working for. Women demand your attention, your time, your emotional availability. But your mission demands everything. You can't split yourself in half and expect to go all the way. When you're focused, the world bends. But when you're distracted, you become weak, scattered, confused, reactive. And that weakness repels the very respect you're seeking. You don't need a woman to believe in your vision before you build it. You need to be ruthless about your priorities. Purpose doesn't wait. Dreams don't have patience. And the empire you want to build will never exist if you keep spending your power trying to be emotionally available for someone who sees your ambition as competition. Protect your focus, guard your time, and understand that your edge is worth more than her attention. What most men call love is actually dependency. It's not about connection. It's about the high. You didn't love her. You loved how she made you feel. Desired, chosen, validated. You weren't chasing a woman. You were chasing the illusion that you were, funnily enough. That rush of being seen, of being wanted. It's addictive. And like any addiction, it blinds you. You overlook the disrespect. You justify the emotional games. You lower your standards just to keep the feeling alive. But that's not weakness, wearing a romantic mask. And just like any addiction, the only way to see clearly is through withdrawal. Real withdrawal, not rebounding, not texting someone new. Real silence, real solitude. You need to feel the ache of her absence without numbing it. You need to face the discomfort head-on. The nights where your chest feels hollow. The mornings where you reach for your phone and realize there's no message. That's the detox. That's the shaking off of emotional dependency. And it's brutal but necessary. Because only when you've cleaned your system of need can you start seeing love for what it really is. Something you give, not something you beg for. Until then, you're not choosing women, you're chasing emotional relief. And that makes you easy to control, easy to manipulate, easy to break. You have to sit in the silence long enough to rebuild yourself. To learn that you're not empty. Without her, to realize that her attention was never the prize you were. That's when you become dangerous. Because now, you're no longer acting out of scarcity. You're no longer craving. You're choosing, not because you need to be loved, but because you have love to give on your terms. But that clarity only comes when the emotional drug wears off. And that happens in isolation. Most men don't even realize they're in a cage because the bars are invisible. They confuse comfort with freedom, affection with respect, and emotional compliance with love. You think you're leading your life, but really, you're just avoiding her reactions. You don't post that opinion because she might take offense. You don't pursue that idea because she wouldn't understand. You don't speak your truth, wear what you want, or spend time with certain friends because she might give you that cold look or withdraw her warmth. That's not a relationship, that's a slow erosion of your masculinity. Over time, you stop challenging her, stop leading, stop showing up as the man you are, and start becoming a diluted version of yourself. And the most dangerous part is how normal it starts to feel. That's the trap. You begin to think it's love. But real love doesn't require you to shrink. It doesn't ask for your silence. It doesn't punish your individuality. You have to wake up to how domesticated you've become. You were born wild, untamed, full of fire, and somewhere along the way, you handed that over for comfort. But comfort is a liar. It steals your hunger. It numbs your purpose. To reclaim that wildness, you have to walk away. Even if the door is open, you won't leave until you realize you're addicted to the very thing that's killing your spirit. You have to burn the fantasy. Let go of the idea that you need her to feel whole. Only when you stop needing the cage do you become free. And in that freedom, your fire returns. You move differently, speak differently, live differently. Not because you hate women, but because you finally remembered the man you were before you buried him under her approval. Now, you lead, or you don't show up at all.